Game on.
Hi everybody, thank you for joining me on today's edition of Glen's Retro Show. Well, you've seen in all my videos I have my Zaxxon here. I've had it for a very long time. I did pick it up used in the early 90s and it was in bad shape. It's still not in the best of shape. As I've had time, I've done little things to fix it. But one of the things that always bugged me about it was the joystick. You can see here it's just a regular red knobbed joystick on there. And the original arcade machine had a flight stick. And I've never been able to get one on eBay. I see them once in a while, and they're really expensive, or I miss out on the bidding war. But now that I have the Tron joystick, although it's not an exact perfect one for Zaxxon, I figured why not put one of those Tron sticks in here to replace that one. After all, it is supposed to be an arcade quality joystick. Finally, Arcade1UP machines, why not give Zaxxon the love that it deserves by having an original type of triggered joystick. So that's what we're going to do today on Glen's Retro Show. I'm going to replace that sad little joystick, which has served me fine over the years, but it's just not the same not having a trigger up there. So we'll see how it turns out. So I'm going to take out that little joystick and put in one of the Glen's Retro Show Tron sticks in its place on today's Glen's Retro Show. So get a little more up close and personal in this 1982 arcade machine by Sega and Gremlin, and it was actually the one of the first, if not the first, kind of 3D style type of games. And it's a really good game. The monitor's got a lot of burn-in as well. The control panel, this is going to have to get replaced at some point. You can see they've drilled through it. It's a bit of a mess up here. And this all needs still clean up still, but you know, it works. The side artwork is really bad shape as well, but I built these these containing walls around them, so you can't really see that at all. But if you open up the machine here, I'm going to turn this key here. The machine stays on only because I have some tape over the switch here, which keeps the machine going. So I'm actually going to let this come off at the moment here. There we go, the machine just turned off. And you can see, well, you can kind of see, you know, the control board that's in here. I've actually had to replace all the capacitors on here. It's like 90 capacitors or something crazy like that, because some of the sound effects start to go. Again, it's pretty common for these machines for the capacitors to go, and you lose a lot of the explosion sounds. And you know, the coins work here, the coin slots work here. Everything else, aside from all the dirt that's in here, does work. But you can see dangling right down here, here are the buttons you would use for the flight stick trigger. So this obviously has not been hooked up in, God, 30 years, I suppose, if not longer. So there's a couple latches under here I take off, and it allows this control panel to flip forward. And God, this thing really needs to be replaced. You can get these on eBay and stuff like that, so I'll do that at some point. And then once you pull those latches off, you can kind of gain access to back here. And you can see this actually uses, which I always preferred, leaf switches. I always preferred these over micro switches. I know a lot of people tend to like micro switches. I don't know why. These are quiet and they seem, to be honest, more responsive to me. Maybe it's just me, but I definitely prefer the leaf switches. Even the joystick. Now, I'm going to be replacing the joystick with a micro switch joystick, so it'll be clicky. But these are the leaf ones that were in here. And you can see the original mounting locations, I assume, were on these 4 screws. And whoever did this modification, made new ones here. So pretty much when I redo this, I will find a way to make sure the screws are on the bottom, underneath the laminate that I put on to replace this one at some point. But for right now, I'm going to pretty much just use the same ones that are here. So my first step is I need to get this ball off and then take out these screws. That's what I'm going to start doing right now. So like a typical style joystick like here, we need to get this ball top off, and I'm pretty sure I glued this thing on. I don't think I used Loctite. I think back in the day I actually used like crazy glue to hold this on. So I'm going to try a pair of vice grips here and try and get it off. I don't care if this gets ruined too much. I mean, it's It's an old joystick I don't really care about much anymore. So one way or another, that's gonna come off. So I just need to make sure I size this up right to get a good lock on it. But just try and minimize the damage. I'm gonna put a paper towel around it. Just good practice, you know, in case you did want to use it for something else at some point. Again, it's dirty as anything. But, you know, you never know what you need in the future. So I'm going to try and salvage it as best I can. Wow, this came off, it did not move. So the other option is there's actually a U-nut. I may end up taking the U-nut off. I'm going to try one more time to get this here. Yeah, I glued that on. Whatever I used to glue that sucker on, it ain't coming off. So that's okay. Because on the underside here, there's a U-nut. I can take off this U-nut and get it off just the same. So I think that's what I'm going to do at this point. That is not coming off at all. Although when you try something else, you need a different tool. These are not going to get that U-bolt off. I got to try something else. They always said ingenuity is the mother of learning, so we'll try a little pair of needle-nose pliers and a screwdriver. So let's see if that gets this thing off. Without pinching my fingers off, that'd be nice. There we go, it started anyway. And sometimes when you get it started, you can use a little screwdriver to kind of work it the rest of the way. Sometimes. And it looks like we got it. Okay, I'm going to put this over here just for, God, someplace that's not so dirty. Hold the ball at the bottom. You can see it's just a small little, like C-clamp, I guess they call it. And there we go. So we'll keep these all together as best I can. But man, that is one dirty, dirty thing. But again, it's got a lot of play out of it, so how much can I really complain? Okay, so now that we have the actual joystick out of there, the next thing is to actually get this off. Now this is soldered in, so I'm gonna have to get my soldering iron and remove it here to get this all these items out of here, and I'm gonna have to solder them onto the new joystick. So I'll probably do that off camera because it's very tight over here.
That's what she said.
That's my joke. Damn it, Dwight.
Say what?
But these aren't clipped on; these are actually soldered on. So I'm gonna have to unsolder each one of these positions onto the new joystick. Okay, once those two screws were taken out, you can see this is now pretty nasty but removable. And you can see all the damage that they did here, you know, when putting this in. But again, a new laminate will probably cover all this up, a little sanding. So it's definitely fixable. Just a shame they had to do this kind of damage to this machine. But in any case, so the next thing we need to do is desolder all of these and put them on the new one. So I'll probably do that again off camera, just because I have no room over here. And we'll be back in a few minutes. Okay, so after a little bit of work, I was able to get out this old joystick. I can't complain about it too much. I mean, I've had this thing in there for over 30 years. When I bought this machine off of, I think it was actually off of a penny saver I had. This is the joystick that was in there. It is a leaf joystick, which I actually prefer more. But it's really hard to get leaf joysticks these days, and this is definitely not what came with Zaxxon back in the day. So I took one of my Glen's Retro Show Tron joysticks, and lo and behold, it is now in place. And it works very well. Now, right now, you can see the LEDs are in here. They're not very bright at the moment. They're only getting a couple of volts off of the fire buttons over here. You can see when you press the fire button that it blinks. The arcade kind of did that as well. The Zaxxon joystick had a light on the top, and when you pull the trigger, I don't remember if the light went out or went on. I really don't remember. It's been so long since I actually played a Zaxxon machine, but it's part of the functionality is there. But the reason it's so dim is I'm not on the right circuit, first of all, I'm sure, and I'm sure the voltages are not right. But the important thing is that the joystick does work, which we'll do some gameplay here in just a second. And right now also, it's not mounted properly. If you look down here, I'll get a close shot in a second. Whoever butchered to get that other joystick in here, there are holes in the control panel, and I don't want to make any new holes just yet. I'm going to have to try and find a new overlay, and I have seen them advertised here and there, so I may have to get a new overlay. And once I get the overlay, then I'll put a final mounting solution for it. Right now I'm basically using some L brackets holding down the joystick. But let me get a little bit of a closer shot over here, and we'll do some gameplay, and well, let's see how it does. Okay, I know everyone hates this particular camera angle, but it's the only way I can get everything I wanted in the shot. I don't have a telephoto lens or anything, or a wide angle lens on my cheap camera here. But in any case, here is Zaxxon here. Still needs work, but at least now I have a joystick that's closer to the representation of what actually came on the machine. And let's start up again. There are two fire buttons over here. There's also now a trigger button, which I have not had since I've owned this machine. Let's try it out. That feels nice. And some of the sounds are not working right. There's still some capacitor that's bad in here, so I'm missing some sound effects. But you get the general idea. You can see the light does flash with the trigger being pulled, or the buttons. Yeah, that sound, the big explosion sound missing. Can't tell how many times I've worked on this motherboard to keep it going, but it still finds some faults. The joystick really does feel good. Especially the trigger button. Come on, I hit him. Got you that time. Getting close. That's the name of the game. Awesome. Works really, really well. I can actually hit anything though. I'm down to my last ship. You figure owning this machine I'd be better. Really be nice if I had my explosion sounds. Oh, too soon! Ah! Well, at least I got my name in here. First place, not too bad. Now, the joystick, of course, is not designed to fit in here, so I had to kind of G-rig a mount, and if you want to do the same thing, you're probably going to have to do the same thing as well. But it's a solid joystick. It responds really well. Good button on there. And it really changes the way the game plays versus that old... if you look at the two, what would you rather have? That stick or a stick like this? So... thank you for tuning into this little episode of Glen's Retro Show for my own little personal project here. The joystick for Tron is available on Amazon, as well as my spinner and trackball. And all proceeds to them go to our other projects, like the one we're working on right now, which is the Star Wars yoke, and as well as other things like light guns and steering wheels. So again, thank you for watching, everyone. And no matter what you do today, make sure you game on.
at the Tiny Arcade fan page. Remember, don't admire people too much. They'll disappoint you.
Sit, Blue Blue, sit. Good dog.